The yellow school bus carrying 12 special needs children from Riverside Elementary was navigating the winding mountain road toward their weekly nature therapy session, when black ice sent the vehicle sliding off the pavement and tumbling 30 feet down into a steep ravine. Driver Patricia Williams was unconscious. The bus was on its side, and several children were injured and terrified in the aftermath of the crash. But Cooper, a specially trained golden retriever therapy dog who rode the bus daily to provide emotional support for the students, immediately transformed from gentle companion into emergency responder. For 4 hours in the overturned bus, Cooper moved methodically from child to child, providing comfort to the injured, warmth to those in shock, and the calming presence that kept panic from turning a survivable accident into a tragedy. Cooper's training in crisis intervention and his understanding of each child's specific needs would prove that sometimes the most important first responder has 4 paws and a heart trained to heal. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this incredible story of a therapy dog's emergency response training saving young lives in crisis, tell me in the comments, have you ever witnessed a therapy animal's ability to provide calm and comfort during emergencies or traumatic situations? And if you believe these amazing stories of specially trained animals becoming heroes when disaster strikes deserve to be shared, hit that subscribe button and join our community celebrating the 4-legged professionals whose training and compassion create miracles when everything goes wrong. Riverside Elementary School's special needs transportation program had been using therapy dogs for 3 years, recognizing that many of their students experienced anxiety and behavioral challenges during bus rides that could last up to an hour each way. Cooper, a 4-year-old golden retriever, had been specially trained to provide emotional support for children with autism, developmental delays, and trauma histories. Cooper makes the difference between a stressful bus ride and a therapeutic one, explains Sarah Martinez, the school's special education coordinator. Some of our students used to have meltdowns every morning. Now they look forward to seeing Cooper and start their day with calm instead of anxiety. The therapy dog program had been so successful that Cooper rode the bus daily, accompanying students to and from school, as well as on special field trips, like their weekly visits to Mountain View Nature Center, where children participated in outdoor therapy sessions designed to build confidence and social skills. Cooper's training went far beyond basic therapy dog certification. He had been specifically prepared for crisis intervention, taught to recognize signs of medical distress, panic attacks, and trauma responses in children. His handler, Patricia Williams, was both the bus driver and a certified therapy dog coordinator who understood how to deploy Cooper's skills in various situations. Cooper isn't just a pet who rides the bus, Patricia often explained to new families. He's a working professional who has been trained to help children regulate their emotions and cope with challenging situations. On February 8th, Cooper's crisis intervention training would be tested in ways no one could have anticipated. The 12 children on Cooper's regular route represented a diverse group of special needs students, ranging in age from 6 to 12, with diagnoses that included autism spectrum disorders, Down syndrome, traumatic brain injuries, and various developmental delays. Each child had specific triggers, comfort needs, and communication styles that Cooper had learned through months of daily interaction. Cooper knows every kid on this bus better than most humans do. Patricia often told other staff members, he knows who needs deep pressure therapy, who responds to gentle nuzzling, and who just needs him to sit quietly nearby. The route to Mountain View Nature Center took them along Highway 19, a winding mountain road that was generally safe but could become treacherous during winter weather. February had brought several ice storms to the region, and while road crews had treated the main highways, some sections remained slippery despite appearing clear. As they approached a sharp curve about halfway to their destination, Cooper's behavior suddenly changed. The golden retriever, who usually sat calmly in his designated area near the front of the bus, stood up and moved toward the center aisle, his body tense and alert. "Easy, Cooper," Patricia said, glancing in her mirror to check on the dog's unusual behavior. "Everything's okay." But Cooper's instincts were detecting something Patricia couldn't perceive, a patch of black ice on the curve ahead that would send their bus into a terrifying accident within seconds. The bus hit the ice patch at 35 miles per hour, exactly the posted speed limit for that section of road. Patricia immediately felt the vehicle lose traction and begin sliding toward the guardrail that separated the highway from a steep ravine. "Hold on, kids," Patricia called out as she fought to regain control of the bus. But the momentum and ice made steering impossible. The bus broke through the guardrail and tumbled down the 30-foot embankment, rolling once before coming to rest on its side against a cluster of pine trees that prevented it from rolling further down the steep slope. The impact was violent enough to knock Patricia unconscious and throw several children from their seats despite safety restraints. Cooper was thrown against the side of the bus during the rollover, but his conditioning and training helped him recover quickly from the disorientation. Even before the bus had fully settled in its final position, the therapy dog was assessing the situation and beginning his emergency response protocols. The golden retriever immediately moved through the overturned bus, checking each child and prioritizing those who needed immediate attention. His training had prepared him for exactly this type of crisis situation. Cooper's first priority was 8-year-old Michael Chen, a boy with autism who was prone to severe panic attacks when his routine was disrupted. Michael was screaming and hitting himself in response to the trauma and disorientation of the crash, behaviors that could cause serious injury if they escalated. Cooper immediately positioned himself against Michael, providing the deep pressure therapy that the boy needed to regulate his nervous system. The dog's weight and warmth helped Michael's breathing slow down and his self-injurious behaviors to decrease. "Cooper," Michael whispered when he recognized the familiar presence. "Cooper's here." Next, Cooper moved to 10-year-old Emma Rodriguez, who had Down syndrome and was bleeding from a cut on her forehead. The girl was conscious but scared and confused about what had happened. Cooper gently licked her hand and positioned himself where she could pet him, providing comfort while she waited for medical attention. "Good dog," Emma said softly, her fear diminishing as she focused on Cooper's familiar fur and gentle breathing. Over the next hour, as the children gradually became more aware of their situation, Cooper moved systematically through the bus, providing specific types of comfort based on each child's individual needs and his knowledge of their personalities and triggers. For 6-year-old David Kim, who had selective mutism and rarely spoke even in comfortable situations, Cooper simply lay nearby, offering silent companionship that didn't require any verbal response. For 12-year-old Sarah Thompson, who had a traumatic brain injury and often became agitated when she couldn't understand her environment, Cooper performed familiar tricks and responses that helped her feel oriented and safe. "Cooper's doing exactly what he was trained to do," observed Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a therapy dog specialist who later analyzed the incident. He was essentially conducting triage, providing each child with the specific type of emotional support they needed, while maintaining overall calm in a terrifying situation. Because the bus had gone off the road in a remote section of highway and was not visible from the pavement above, it took nearly 2 hours for emergency responders to locate the crash site. During this time, Cooper continued his therapeutic work while also taking on additional responsibilities. When 9-year-old Alex Martinez became hypothermic due to broken windows that let cold air into the bus, Cooper positioned his body to share warmth using his thick coat and natural body heat to help maintain the boy's core temperature. When Patricia Williams briefly regained consciousness, Cooper moved to her position and remained nearby, providing comfort while she assessed her injuries and tried to determine the bus's location using her radio. "Cooper, you're a good boy," Patricia murmured, understanding that the therapy dog was doing far more than his normal job. "Keep taking care of our kids." Cooper's training included responses to help children communicate during emergencies. When several of the students became increasingly anxious about when help would arrive, Cooper began performing specific comfort behaviors that he had been taught to use during extended stressful situations. The dog would move to the center of the bus and sit in a calm, alert position that communicated safety and patience to the children. His presence seemed to tell them that if Cooper wasn't panicked, then they didn't need to panic either. "Cooper made us feel like everything was going to be okay," 10-year-old James Wilson later told investigators. "Even though I was scared and hurt, Cooper was calm, so I knew someone would come get us." When rescue teams finally located the bus and began their extraction procedures, Cooper's role evolved again. He helped keep the children calm during the noisy, chaotic rescue operation that involved chainsaws, hydraulic equipment, and multiple emergency personnel. "That dog was better than any sedative we could have given those kids," said EMT Robert Chen, who was part of the rescue team. "Every child was remarkably calm considering what they'd been through." Cooper had essentially been providing professional-level crisis intervention for 4 hours. As each child was extracted from the bus and loaded into ambulances, Cooper made sure to provide a final comfort contact, a gentle nuzzle, a paw touch, or simply eye contact that communicated reassurance and goodbye. All 12 children survived the bus crash, with injuries ranging from minor cuts and bruises to one broken arm and several cases of mild hypothermia. Medical professionals credited Cooper's intervention with preventing panic-related injuries and helping maintain the children's emotional stability during the extended emergency. In crisis situations involving special needs children, panic and agitation can cause more injury than the original accident, explained Dr. Sarah Kim, who treated several of the students. "Cooper's therapeutic intervention likely prevented secondary injuries and made our medical treatment much more effective." Patricia Williams suffered a concussion and several fractured ribs, but recovered fully. Cooper sustained minor injuries during the crash, but was cleared by veterinary examination and returned to work within a week. The accident investigation revealed that Cooper's crisis intervention had been textbook perfect, demonstrating every aspect of his specialized training while adapting to an unprecedented emergency situation. "Cooper essentially became the primary first responder for 12 special needs children," explained Dr. Amanda Foster, who studied the incident. His training in crisis intervention, individual assessment, and therapeutic response was deployed exactly as designed, but in circumstances far more extreme than anyone had anticipated. The case became a landmark study in therapy dog emergency response and the potential for specially trained animals to serve as crucial resources during disasters involving vulnerable populations. Cooper received numerous awards for his heroic service during the bus crash, including recognition from therapy dog organizations, emergency response agencies, and special education advocacy groups. But more importantly, the incident led to expanded therapy dog training programs and new protocols for using therapy animals during emergency situations. Cooper proved that therapy dogs can be more than comfort providers, said Lisa Martinez, director of the Regional Therapy Dog Program. With proper training, they can be legitimate emergency responders who save lives through emotional and psychological intervention. Cooper returned to his regular bus route within 2 weeks of the accident, with several enhancements to his emergency response training and equipment. The children who had been in the crash specifically requested that Cooper continue as their therapy dog, understanding that he had taken care of them during their scariest moments. "Cooper saved us," said Emma Rodriguez during the welcome back ceremony. "He made sure we weren't too scared. He's our hero." The bond between Cooper and his students had been strengthened through their shared traumatic experience, creating trust and connection that would benefit their ongoing therapeutic work. The bus crash and Cooper's response became a training case study for therapy dog programs across the country, demonstrating the potential for properly trained animals to serve as crisis responders for vulnerable populations. Cooper's story shows us that therapy dogs can be prepared for emergency situations in ways that multiply their value to the communities they serve, explained Dr. Robert Kim during a national conference on therapy animal training. The incident also led to improved safety protocols for special needs transportation and enhanced emergency response procedures for vehicles carrying vulnerable populations. 5 years after the bus crash, Cooper continued his work with Riverside Elementary's special needs program, now recognized as a model for therapy dog crisis intervention. The students who had been in the accident still rode Cooper's bus, now as confident middle schoolers who often shared their story to help other children understand the value of therapy animals. "Cooper taught us that we could be brave even when scary things happened," said Michael Chen, now 13 and much more confident in managing his autism-related challenges. "He showed us that someone would always take care of us." Their story continued to inspire therapy dog programs and demonstrate the remarkable potential of specially trained animals to serve as both daily companions and emergency responders for the children who needed them most. I still think about that February morning when a school bus full of special needs children crashed into a ravine and a golden retriever transformed from therapy companion into emergency responder, providing 4 hours of professional-level crisis intervention that kept panic from turning tragedy into catastrophe. If Cooper had been just a regular pet, if he hadn't been trained for crisis situations, if he'd responded with fear instead of expertise, those 12 vulnerable children might not have survived their ordeal. Cooper's story teaches us something profound about the potential that exists when we properly train animals to serve human needs beyond basic companionship. This dog didn't just provide comfort, he conducted triage, administered therapy, and maintained psychological stability for children whose special needs made them particularly vulnerable to trauma and panic. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed a therapy animal's ability to provide calm and comfort during emergencies or traumatic situations? Have you seen specially trained animals perform duties that went far beyond what most people expect from pets? These professional partnerships between humans and animals might be more important than we typically recognize. Share your experiences in the comments below, because at Saved by Tails, we believe that our therapy animals possess capabilities that can save lives when they're properly trained and deployed in crisis situations. If Cooper's incredible story moved you, if it reminded you of the life-saving potential that exists when animals are trained as true professionals rather than just companions, please share this video with others who need to see what expertise looks like when it's powered by training and delivered with 4 paws and a heart dedicated to healing. Hit that like button, subscribe to Saved by Tails, and help us continue telling the stories of working animals whose professional skills and therapeutic training create safety nets for our most vulnerable community members. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes our most important first responders are the ones who measure success, not in lives dramatically saved, but in panic prevented and trauma healed through patient professional care.